Good morning to everyone. Today class is continued to previous class. In a previous class, we discussed about the Gauss law and its proof. So once more recall or recollect the Gauss law statement. From the Gauss law the Gauss law can be defined as the total flux over the closed surface is equals to 1 by epsilon naught times of the net charge within the closed surface, and its proof is verified in the previous class. Today discuss about the application of Gauss law. Today we discuss about the applications of Gauss law. So the applications, the first one is we discuss now. The first one is a electric field at a point due to a point charge of a infinite sheet of charge. Infinite sheet of charge. So today we discuss about the Gauss law application. So one of the application, we calculate the intensity of electric field in an infinite sheet of charge. So discuss about the electric field or intensity of electric field by using the infinite sheet of charge. So we consider a non-conducting infinite sheet of charge. A non-conducting infinite sheet charged either side. The charge are charged either side, that charge is plus q and plus q. That means the infinite sheet having the charge both sides, positive charge and positive charge. Let us consider a point P. Let us consider a point P at a distance r from the sheet of charge, or the distance r from the point O. To calculate, or in order to calculate the electric field, so we consider the symmetrical point Q to be opposite to the another side, opposite to the another side. So Q is the another point and P is the one of the point. So we calculate or we determine the electric flux through P and through Q. Let A be the cross-sectional area of an imaginary Gaussian surface. Let capital A be the cross-sectional area of an imaginary Gaussian surface. Gaussian surface is nothing but imaginary surface. That imaginary surface is called a Gaussian surface. So let A be the cross-sectional area of an imaginary Gaussian surface. The electric flux becomes zero at a curved surface. Is both are curved surface. Is curved surface. Here the electric flux at a curved surface becomes zero. Why becomes zero? That means the electric field and the elemental area both are perpendiculars to each other. So perpendiculars to each other at a curved surface, that means theta equals to 90. From the Gauss law statement, E bar dot ds bar equals to E ds cos theta. That means E ds cos 90. So cos 90 becomes 0. Therefore the flux becomes 0 at a curved surface. That means only we calculate the electric flux at a ends plane or at a P and Q considering points. Okay. That means we calculate total flux, curved surface and end surfaces. Curved surfaces, the electric flux becomes 0. What is the reason? The reason is electric field and elemental area both are perpendiculars to each other. That means theta equals to 90. By the formula E bar ds bar E ds cos theta, theta equals to 90, phi equals to 0. That means phi equals to flux and phi equals to 0. So only we calculate at end surfaces. So at a point P, the flux is. Similarly, at a point Q, the flux. So the total flux through Gaussian surface, that means phi E equals to phi P plus phi Q. Phi P equals to E bar dot ds bar E ds cos theta. Similarly, phi q equals to E bar dot ds bar, that means E ds cos theta. Both are the same elemental areas and same electric field due to a positive charge. So total flux phi E equals to E ds cos theta plus E ds cos theta. Phi E equals to 2 E ds cos theta. Here theta equals to 0 because at end surfaces the elemental area and electric field both are parallel to each other. Both are parallel to each other from the figure. At a end faces the elemental area and electric field both are parallel to each other. So the angle between that theta equals to 0. So phi E equals to 2 E ds cos 0. So cos 0 equals to 1. Phi E equals to 2 E ds into 1. By using Gauss law, the flux is nothing but Q by epsilon naught. Gauss law statement 1 by epsilon naught times of the net charge. So from the Gauss law statement phi E equals to Q by epsilon naught. So from equation 1 and equation 2, from 1 and 2, Q by epsilon naught equals to 2 E ds. 2 E ds. That means ds equals to a cross sectional area. Cross sectional area is nothing but A. ds is nothing but, or since ds equals to area equals to A. So Q by epsilon naught equals to 2E into A. Therefore E equals to Q by 2 epsilon naught into A. E equals to Q by 2 epsilon naught into A. Okay. He is one of the application of Gauss law. So to find the electric field at a point due to point charge of infinite sheet of charge or infinite charge sheet. So let us consider a non-conducting infinite sheet of charge. That sheet is charged with a Q either side. Let P be a point at a distance. Let P be a point at a distance or from sheet of charge, or let a point P at a distance or from a point O. In order to calculate the electric field, so we considering another point Q symmetrically on other side. That point is Q. That point is Q. So we calculate the electric flux through imaginary surface. That imaginary surface is called Gaussian surface. Gaussian surface. Imaginary surface is called Gaussian surface. So here is curved surfaces, is end faces, end faces. At a curved surfaces, the electric flux 0 because of both are perpendiculars to each other, so theta equals to 90, flux becomes 0. Only we calculate the flux at end of the surfaces. So at a point P, the flux 5P, at a point Q, the flux is 5Q. So the resultant or the total flux through the Gaussian surface phi E equals to 5P plus 5Q. From the statement of Gauss law, so that value is substitute phi E equals to Q by epsilon naught. So phi E equals to, and theta equals to 0 because of at the end surfaces the elemental area ds and E bar both are parallel to each other. Both are parallel to each other. That means what is the angle between that? Both are parallel to each other, the angle becomes 0. So that value theta equals to 0. Here cos 0 equals to 1. So by using the Gauss law, flux is nothing but Q by epsilon naught. So both are equal. Here E equals to Q by 2 epsilon naught into A. By using the surface density, already we discussed, due to the charge distribution or by using the charge distribution, the density can be divided into three. One is the volume density and another one is surface density or area density, and another one is a longitudinal or length density, linear density. So by using the surface density, sigma equals to Q by A, area or surface density. Volume density is nothing but Q by V. Volume density is nothing but Q by V. And linear density means Q by length. Is the surface density, is the volume density, is the linear density. Already we discussed in the previous class, in the introduction classes. So here the surface density sigma equals to Q by A, Q equals to sigma into A. So that value is substitute in that equation. Sigma equals to, E equals to, Q is nothing but sigma into A by 2 epsilon naught into A. So therefore the intensity of electric field sigma by 2 epsilon naught. The equation would have E equals to sigma by epsilon naught is one side of the infinite sheet. Is the infinite sheet is one of the surface, is the another one of the surface. So both surfaces, the intensity of field is sigma by 2 epsilon naught. But one side sigma by epsilon naught and another one side sigma by epsilon naught. Okay, are you understand? Is one of the application of Gauss law. So again we discuss the another application. The another application is the electric field at a point due to a uniform uniformly charged sphere is the important concept. Electric field at a point. Electric field at a point due to a uniformly charged sphere. Okay, so is the another one of the application of Gauss law. Electric field at a point due to a uniformly charged sphere. Uniformly charged sphere. So what is a electric field by using the Gauss law? So we consider here in that particular situation arise three cases. First case and second case and third case. So what is the cases? Is the original sphere with radius capital R, its center is the out of the sphere, is the inside of the sphere. That means outside of the sphere, on the sphere, inside the sphere. Three cases are arise in that particular situation, in that particular case, by using uniformly charged sphere. So that one is discussed now. Let us consider a sphere. Let us consider a sphere with radius capital R from its center point O. Let us consider a sphere with radius capital R from its center point O. Is charged with a positive charge. From the symmetrical charge distribution, the electric field over at all points is the same. That means the charge is uniformly distributed over the sphere. So the electric field is same over the sphere. Now we image a Gaussian surface outside the sphere. Now we can imagine a Gaussian surface is the Gaussian surface and is the Gaussian surface because of both are imaginary surfaces. We can imagine a Gaussian surface outside the sphere at a point P1. The distance is smaller from its center point O. The electric flux through a small elemental area ds. The elemental area ds at a point P1 is nothing but d phi 1. Similarly, the another imaginary Gaussian surface inside of the sphere at a point P3, the flux through the same elemental area ds is nothing but d phi 3, and also a flux through the same elemental area ds around the sphere is nothing but d phi 2, d phi 1, d phi 2, d phi 3. So three cases are arranged. So now by using the Gauss law to calculate the electric field, the first case, outside of the sphere, from the figure clearly we can observe the point P1 located on the imaginary Gaussian surface. The flux through an elemental area d phi 1 is nothing but distance is r. So d phi 1 equals to E bar dot ds bar. So we require or we want to calculate the total flux at a point P1. So total flux is nothing but integral d phi 1 is nothing but phi 1 equals to integral E bar ds bar. So implies integral E ds cos theta. Here theta equals to 0 degree. So that means integral E ds equals to phi 1. From the Gauss law, from the Gauss law, phi equals to q by epsilon naught. That means phi 1 equals to q by epsilon naught. So q by epsilon naught equals to E integral ds. That means q by epsilon naught equals to E into s or integral ds. S is nothing but a surface area of the sphere. S is nothing but S equals to surface area of the sphere. What is the surface area of sphere? Is nothing but 4 pi r square. Distance r square and 4 pi r square. So q by epsilon naught equals to E into 4 pi r square. So E into 4 pi r square equals to q by epsilon naught. Therefore, E equals to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q by R square. That means E is inversely proportional to R square. Okay. E is inversely proportional to R square. The first case is outside of the sphere. Clearly, we can observe from the figure is the outside of the sphere. That means the point P1 is located on the Gaussian surface. That point is situated out of the sphere. The elemental area is and the flux. So the flux is nothing but by using the Gauss law phi1 equals to, and S is the surface area of the sphere. By using these distance is nothing but. The second case is nothing but to on the sphere. So the point P2 located on the sphere with radius capital R and elemental area ds and flux d phi 2. That means d phi 2 equals to E bar dot ds bar. So phi 2 equals to integral d phi 2 equals to integral E bar dot ds. So that means phi 2 equals to E ds cos theta. Here theta equals to 0. So E ds integration of. So the same E integral ds, S is the surface area, phi 2 equals to E into S. So S equals to 4 pi into capital R square. By using the or from the Gauss law, phi 2 equals to Q by epsilon naught. So Q by epsilon naught equals to E into 4 pi R square. E equals to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q by R square. Okay. Q by epsilon naught E into 4 pi R square. E equals 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q by capital R square. Here capital R equals to constant. So E equals to constant. That means is the original sphere, both are imaginary sphere. So the capital R remains constant. So R is constant. So E equals to constant in that particular situation on the sphere. So the third case, inside of the sphere, clearly P3, that means P3 is the considering point at an elemental area ds. The area is the same elemental area and flux is nothing but to d phi 3. The flux is we can take for our convenient d phi 1, d phi 2, d phi 3. Okay. So d phi 3 equals to the same. So phi 3 equals to integral d phi 3 integral E bar ds bar. Phi 3 equals to integral E ds cos theta. Theta equals to 0. That means E ds. So by using the Gauss law from the Gauss law, phi 3 equals to Q by epsilon naught. Q by epsilon naught equals to E into surface area. surface area is nothing but 4 pi r1 square. That means r since S equals to 4 pi r1 square. 4 pi r1 square. So E equals to Q by 4 pi epsilon naught into r1 square. But here one more thing is we can remember. That point is located inside of the sphere. That point is located inside of the sphere. So we can define a volume density. Volume density. Volume density. That means rho equals to Q by V. Why the volume density we will take? Suppose we can ask, the point is located inside of the sphere. Inside of the sphere. So the volume density can able to take. So the volume density rho equals to Q by V. V is nothing but volume of the sphere. Volume of the sphere. V equals to volume of the sphere. So what is the volume of the sphere? 4/3 pi r1 cube. 4/3 pi r1 cube. So that value is substitute in that equation. Rho equals to Q by 4/3 pi r1 cube. So Q equals to, therefore Q equals to rho into 4/3 pi r1 cube. So that value is substitute in that equation. Q equals to, so rho into 4/3 pi r1 cube by epsilon naught as it is equals to E into 4 pi r1 square. 4 pi and r1 square r1 cube. What is the value? Rho by epsilon naught into r1 equals to E. Okay, rho by epsilon naught r1 square r1 cube. So rho by epsilon naught r1 is remaining. So rho by epsilon naught into r1. So that means E is proportional to r1. E is proportional to r1. The first case is E is inversely proportional to the square of its distance. And the second case, that means on the sphere, capital E equals to constant because of capital R, the radius remains constant. In third case, E is proportional to R1. What we can understand? So that depends upon the distance. The variance of distance, the field strength is increasing at a particular point, get a maximum value, then after decreasing. Okay. The second case is remaining constant, and the third case is proportional to distance. The first case inversely proportional to the, that means the graph is nothing but E bar and R is nothing but maximum value and R equals to capital R. That means at a particular point E constant is nothing but E is proportional to R1 is nothing but inversely proportional to the. From the center of the distance because of the symmetry of charge distribution from its center of point is gradually increasing, getting a maximum value, then after is gradually decreasing. So is the application of Gauss electric field at a point due to a uniformly charged sphere. Okay, thank you.